Hey everyone, John Doyle and Emily Gullickson from Optics, and we're going to preview the Travers and some other big races. 5 grade ones, Emily, on Saturday at Saratoga. Hopefully the weather holds up, but I don't know. I'm getting
Hopefully the
depressed.
fields hold up too. Any scratches, then it'll be even
Oh
smaller
man.
field. So let's hope.
Oh. Yeah, they're small fields, but they're tricky races as we went through,
Yes.
talked about
Yes.
earlier. You can go either way. A lot of big favorites, but not sure things. Let's see how they bet. That's the important thing. See how things kind of unfold. So we're
Yeah.
going to start with the Travers, and then kind of work our way back through some of the other grade ones, and have some little anecdotes. And the first thing I just want to say, when you look at the plot for the Travers, it looks a little funky, right? And I want to kind of explain why. So you look at this standard plot, that's fine. I mean, it's just ugly, right? It's just no rhyme or reason to it. It's a red plot fit, and people who use our product know that, those plots are just less predictable, but it's not to say we can't use it. On the surface and distance, Emily, the reason why those horses aren't plotting like Forte and Arcangelo, it's weird. The way we look at surface and distance, and I think it's the right way, we look at routes. So when we plot, we look at past performance, and we want to pull routes out. If they're like 8 furlongs up to like 9.5 furlongs, we consider a route. We categorize races at 10 and 11 furlongs as long routes, because they just don't run them that differently.
Yeah.
But we characterize races 12 and above as a marathon. So we look at those 3 routes as 3 different things. We don't clump them into a route. So in the case of like Forte and Arcangelo, since they didn't run in the Derby, they only ran in the Belmont, they only have that mile and a half, race. And today's race is 10 furlongs, is a long route. So it kind of doesn't fit the category of surface and distance up. So that's the reason why they don't plot. So if anyone, why are they not plotting on surface and distance? Well, they only run like regular routes, and then this marathon route in the Belmont. They never ran the 10 furlongs of the Kentucky Derby. And it's like a nuanced thing, but I think it's right, because
I agree. Yeah.
yeah, see those things at 3 different categories. The other thing I noticed about the plot is that if you look up the run style, I think it's important always to look up here at the RPM, the run style, Emily, and you
Yeah.
notice the 5 is really the only early presser type in this race, and just style wise. Now, I think those types of things mean a little bit less in races going a long distance against high class horses. Pace is still important, but it's not the only thing. It's got to be the ability to get the distance, to have the class and stuff. But when you look at that, you would say the 5 would have an early pace advantage, but he plots kind of terribly, right? All the way down there in quadrant 3 as a little circle. So,
Well,
I mean,
one more thing I will
yeah,
add with that is you can also kind of double check that because like in the case of the 7, right, who's sitting in quadrant 1 but is listed as a presser closer, the 7 only has 4 races, and 3 of those races were at one turn. And he
correct.
was a presser stalker in
Right.
that, or presser closer as a PC in those one turn races. But in the Curlin, the only race that he's run around one turn, which the standard plot is picking up on, he was an E.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, if you look at, if just kind of looking, if you just say a pace advantage, it would kind of say that early pace has an advantage of this race. If there was like a clear, strong early pace horse, and I guess National Treasure is it, with maybe Scotland could press, but to me it's a little funky. I'm kind of looking more on the form, as opposed to trying to figure out all this. I mean, I assume National Treasure will go for the lead. I assume Scotland will track. I think the others won't be too far back, and we'll see like what happens at the end. But it's just hard to kind of like say, hey, I have an edge by looking at the plot. I would say no. I would say this is not where I want to try to get an edge on,
Uh,
because I'm not quite sure.
yeah, I agree. I do think that there's some that there the way that the standard plot is laid out is kind of how I would see the pace developing, right? Where you'd
Yeah,
have National Treasure on the lead, Scotland sitting right behind, Arcangelo sitting kind of like in that same trip he had in the Belmont, where he's sitting right behind those pace setters. The 1 and 6 are right, right on them, and
yeah.
then 4 and 3 kind of off the pace a little bit. So I think there is some structure to the pace, but there is more. I agree with you. I think you have to look at the form lines, and how that just in terms of class, really, like which of these horses are really going to step up and not only get the trip, but are in the position to run their A race.
Agreed. So let's dig into them. Should we start with Forte? He's number one, so that's a good place to start. He is
Yeah.
the favorite, and
Yep.
I guess what do you think the price? I guess the morning line is what, 7-5. What do you think he's going to be? He's going to be around there, maybe shorter, but don't you think?
Yeah, let me look at the lines again. I think David has this race pretty much nailed. Um, if he's
Yes,
a
I
little
agree.
bit more, it'll be because Arcangelo comes down a little bit, but I think those two are going to be pretty close. Forte will be favored, Arcangelo very close second choice.
Yeah, I think the odds are good. The morning line is good. Yeah, so I think when we get to the opinion and the strategy point of this, but Forte he's not like overly exciting, but he just doesn't do anything wrong. I mean, he just kind of runs his race every time. He's a class horse. Distance should not be a problem for this horse. I think it's actually better than the Belmont distance. Like you said,
Mm-hmm.
he should be sitting a pretty good trip. I mean, how do you knock this horse, Emily?
I just, I think you said it right. He's not exciting. And he's done some good things. He's also done some bad things, like in his races, where there's points in the race where it looks like he's not going to win.
Right, I
You're
know,
always watching his race, and
I
he's
know,
like, oh, he's not winning today, and then you're like, wait a
I
minute,
know,
is he going to
I
win?
know,
He's going
I
to win,
know.
and so that's always something that, like, at a short price, especially, I think this is a tougher field. I mean, the Jim Dandy, will talk about that because it is a common race with some of the others in here, but I think it was more of a factor of Saudi Crown losing than Forte winning, because and just the way that race shaped, there just wasn't a lot of change in running order, and Saudi Crown was just backing up a horse that we kind of pegged as the horse that probably didn't want the distance.
Right.
And Forte was able to save ground and kind of be in the right place in time. I know there was some, there's some tactics, but that aside, just kind of like zooming out and looking big picture, I thought he kind of benefit from that. Arcangelo beat him on the square in the Belmont. Um, but you noted kind of pre-race minus. I watching his works, I wasn't, I wasn't that thrilled with his works coming into this race. I forget who he's. Oh, he was working
Tap it
with
twice.
Tap. He
Tap
was
it
working
twice.
Tapit Trice,
Yeah. And boy,
who's Tapit
if
Trice.
you didn't
He's
like his works, then Tap it twice. You did not like his works.
right. And
uh,
he's fine. And he's just not a horse. Like, if he wins at a short price, he's fine. I just think there's some other ways to go in here. I still think he, in some ways, kind of has to prove it.
yeah, the thing is, I just don't know if they were trying all that hard in the Jim Dandy. To be honest with you, it looked like a prep. I almost put prep. It looked like a prep
Okay,
that
but
they
then
wanted.
but then look at his recent works, and you'd think he'd be
Right?
thriving
Yeah,
out of that.
yeah. Yeah. He's like you say, he's solid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, and the other thing about him, especially if there is weather, look, his two races on the weather were good, and they both at Saratoga. So if weather kicks in, that's doesn't look like it's gonna
They
be a
were both they were both kind of off freshenings too, so
yeah,
which he's not having today. He's on a 28-day turnaround,
true. Um,
and he has regressed a little bit, I would say, off both those.
off those, yeah, he did. He did. Well, we don't know about this one yet. We'll see. So
Yeah,
that's
but
good to
sorry,
play.
I was looking at kind of the Florida Derby. Even though I guess he paired numbers in there, but again, I feel like that was just such a weaker field.
Well, it was a weaker field, but then the winner won the Kentucky Derby, right?
Well, we'll talk about him in a second.
Okay, so that's fourth day. I'm going to go to Arcangelo. This is a nice horse.
He's a nice horse.
I think we picked up on this early on in his maiden win. Rarely get A- for horses, but
I
the
picked
only
up
thing,
on it when he made his debut, watching his work. So I was like, this horse is a runner.
yeah, I think
He's always been good.
the thing, and I think he's work. I think I saw his works. He looks good. I just the only thing is I'm still not convinced completely. And I know he won at 12 furlongs. I'm just not convinced that 10 furlongs and above is his optimal distance. That'd be the one knock. I don't like how he was kind of drifting late. I thought he got kind of almost a perfect trip. Great
I
ride
agree.
by
Yeah.
Castellano.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm not going to take a short price on him. I'll give him a race after the layoff.
I think
And
he's going to run second
okay, okay, and we're going to find
because
out.
he's going to fall into the right trip.
Yeah, I just think coming off a layoff and going 10 furlongs is just a tough thing to do.
Agree. Yeah, and he's never raced at Saratoga, so
Yeah,
there's things to kind of pick apart at a short price for sure.
yeah, and he's going to be too short for me. And Tapit Trice, man, I tried, baby.
You've been way too charitable for this
Oh,
horse.
he's terrible. I mean, that the Haskell was just dismal. I mean, I can't bet him off of this. He's a long shot. I mean, the only thing I could say is, because of the distance, maybe he can clunk up for third or fourth and finish in the try. That'd be about the upside of his whole thing. But I mean, he's just a terrible gate horse. Now, I think the one thing I do like is the jockey change. Not to criticize that. I just think he was the wrong rider for this horse.
Yeah,
So
and you've said that you've said that in the past too. So I could see that for sure. Sometimes just making those little changes can
yeah,
kind of, yeah,
yeah. So
yeah. I'd say that's the biggest advantage today is just something different and
and
recency.
maybe he can clunk up for a piece. That'd be the up and at a big price. So that might be. Um, okay, here's my buddy Mage, the winner of the Kentucky Derby. I don't like this horse. I mean, I know the Monmouth race, the Haskell is awful layoff, but I mean, he made a move. He made a winning move, and he was beating no one. I mean, there was no one in that race, and I, I I just can't bet. And he's again another horse that's going to be bet. He's one of these horses I'm going to be betting against in the exotics. Um, I know he won, but he got the right trip in the Kentucky Derby at a mile and a quarter. I just don't think he's another mile and a quarter horse, in my opinion. I think he showed that in the Haskell. You could say he was short. I don't know. Castellano leaves him. So there you go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. The thing I will say about him is that he does he does try every single time. So I think you're not tossing him out of the top four, but he's not a horse I'm looking to win this race.
Right.
Because he has that kind of determination to him. Which is great in a racehorse. I just don't think he's like the best horse in this race.
But he should have won that race last time.
Oh, I think so. Yeah, that.
He should have won that race. So, all right. He's 4-1. You think that'll be about where he will be, right? 4-5-1.
Mm-hmm.
Smoke clears, you think? Yeah. Tough read on this one, Emily. He's going to be out there winging it. I just don't know about him. Obviously, at the distance, he got an easy lead in the Preakness and was able to kind of hold on. I don't think he's going to get the same kind of trip. I don't think he's facing the same kind of horses. I just don't know. Like the big thing with him is, he's off the 77 days as he progressed, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you watched him work?
I think I did. Let me pull it up just so I can kind of like refresh. Yeah, I mean, as far as the Preakness was just kind of the right time and place where he had a pace advantage in that race, catching Mage, who was not in a good spot coming back from the Kentucky Derby. And then the other horses in the race were just kind of common. A lot of them are also rans in the race that Scotland comes out of. And those horses didn't do anything. Red Route One's fine. He's a good horse, but he would be a long shot in here.
He's a deep closer, and this horse had all of his own way on the front.
I haven't watched this horse's works. I watched some of the other Baffert horses, but I
I
haven't
mean,
watched this one.
if he's obviously they all progress probably from the recent form, I would imagine. I mean, they're peaking. They should be at least trying to peak for this race. He's got to move way up for me to kind of want him to win in this situation.
Can you quickly? Sorry, it's like kind of
Yeah.
a quick jump, but go to Scotland's Curlin race. Just double click on that because the two horses, yeah, perfect. Perform was
Yeah.
one of the horses that was in the Preakness.
Right.
The 3, Blazing Sevens, was the other horse in there.
Yeah. Il Miracola. He just won the Smarty Jones. I was not impressed with that race. Oh, he won, but okay. So,
So I'm just kind
a
of, you know,
comparable.
this is,
What's
yeah,
that?
it's just, we can go back to National Treasure. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Like, has he progressed? Even in the Preakness, that pace flow looks very slow.
Yeah, it was
I just think he's
slow, very
facing,
slow. Yeah. Yeah, he
yeah,
had it
he's
all
just
his own way.
facing better horses. Scotland, I think, is going to push him, especially if they try to go very slow.
Yeah.
And
He's
then
not,
the lack
he's
of
not going to get
finish.
away with that. I think the only way he gets it is he tries to go quick. I'll be honest. I don't think he's going to be able to, like, because he tried that in the Belmont, didn't work.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe they try to go fast, actually. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but I think that's about his only chance is to take some steam out of the other horses behind them. That
The
would
plot
make,
the plot position seems very negative.
yeah. Yeah, because he's coming out of those slow paced races, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't like him. This is an interesting horse. He's just kind of on the improve, Emily. Again, he's going to be first time going 10 furlongs. He's, ran second to Louisiana Derby, which is a mile and 3/16, I think they have it. And he ran a good race there. Just, I like when horses are kind of showing this progression. And the other thing about him, I noted, and you see the other, you should click this blue note anytime you see a blue note, but um, I'm not sure he was handling the track that day. Now he may get the same track, but Saratoga's mud is really different. The track's different. I mean, I
It
just think,
is
yeah,
one more thing of that. It's a different scenario. Even the track being, even if it's the same track and he wasn't handling it, but
yeah,
not handling it, racing down inside behind horses is a lot different than now that he's in post 6 and he's going to be able to sit outside.
yeah,
That's totally different. Getting mud kicked in your face from the inside. No.
right, right. So I would send that this horse is especially 8-1. I think this horse is generous. I think it's the right. If you can get
I
anywhere between
think
6 and 8-1, I think you're in good shape with this horse. I think this horse is a contender in this race.
I think this is the horse you're supposed to bet in this race. He has blinkers on. I watched his most recent work in blinkers, and he's fine. He's training. He's supposed to run his best race in this event. And I went back and watched that race. I thought Disarm ran. I think if you're watching the Jim Dandy, Disarm's the horse that you want going forward because again, just the way that race shape kind of played out, where Saudi Crown was forward throughout, Forte was tracking, and no one was really making up ground in that
No,
race,
no, not at
other
all.
than Saudi Crown backing up, but no
Yeah,
one was really moving. No one was really
no,
moving forward, and Disarm was to some extent. He was
yeah,
down inside. Once they got him outside, he was running on late. Again, I feel like he's the right price and the right horse coming into this race. He has recency. He has foundation at the distance. Speed figures are improving. Asmussen horses are firing right now. There is one category that they aren't. We'll talk about that in the ballerina that I just found
yeah.
looking at some patterns. But everything he's sending out right now at Saratoga, Lone
Mm.
Star Park, Remington Park, it's just like a trend where everything is going well. So
All
that's
right.
a positive too.
So obvious contender there. Both of them, Emily and I like kind of disarm a little bit. And then Scotland, you know, nothing wrong with this horse. Another horse on the improve. Mott's has had a great Saratoga. It's just gonna be the class. Does it kick in? Is it first time 10 furlongs? All signs say this horse is progressing well. Could get a decent pace scenario off of the 5. Was he 12-1? I think he's a long shot. Could be included in exotics. Right.
Yeah.
Anything else about him, Emily? That's about it.
No, I mean, you have to just be concerned a little bit if he just kind of peaked in that last race, because obviously it was the first start around 2 turns. I talked about that field, how I don't really think too much of that field
Mm.
as a whole, and he got the right trip. So I think he's a good addition to this field, but I don't
Yeah.
really see a scenario where he's taking another step forward and winning this race.
Right. So maybe, who knows, maybe for underneath,
Sure,
my
underneath.
strategy in this race would be to kind of, for me, bet against Mage. And who was the other one I was wanted to bet against? Arcangelo. That's my thing. I mean, that's who I'm trying to beat in this race.
I'm gonna key Disarm.
All right, good.
And then that's
I think that's the right horse to key, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm gonna try to beat two. I'm gonna try to beat those two. And
what do you mean by beat them? Like for the top spot or top three
no,
spot?
I would try to beat them in the exact.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I think Forte is, a good underneath horse. Like some people don't want to bet the favorite underneath in an exacta, but if you like to disarm, and Forte's, most likely to be the horse to finish first or second, and you've been exacta with disarm on top, you're getting 8-1 maybe with, let's say if that's the odds, but you'll probably get something like 25-1 with him and Forte's second, which is not a big, what was probably the percentage of Forte finishing second, about 60%, 70%, first or second. So
I'm not as negative. I'm not as negative on Arcangelo
right,
as you are.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Mage I think is fine. I mean, pretty much, I'm Disarm in the top spot.
Yeah. Okay, that's the Travers. Let's go over to the Ballerina, which is race 10. Click that. Okay. Switch this to race 10. Okay. So Echo Zulo is going to get hammered, right? That's the favorite, Echo Zulo.
At the windows, yes.
Yeah, it's going to get hammered. So, I mean, really, you look at it, it's really, a lot of it's based on that last race. If you take that last race out, right, which was a huge race for that horse, when you look at the figures and all the rest and class, it's kind of there's like 5 or 6 horses that could win, right? Don't you think? Like if you just take that last race out, and then it's truly probably the most competitive race on the card, on the greatest stakes races. I mean,
100%.
These are
I think the other reason that the other reason that Echo Zulo is, it's not even just that last out speed figure. It's the fact of like what you see on the plot, right? Is she looks like she's going to have a pace advantage.
Right.
So that's why she's going to get bet, because it's going to look like she's the horse that is going to go to the front and be able to take them gate to wire.
Well, she got to deal with the two.
The two isn't really. She is going to have.
Well, she got speed.
She does, but she's not I'm going to get into a duel with you type of horse, though.
I don't know. What do you do? What do you do with that post with her? Sit and hope for the best?
Yeah.
All right. Well, the 4 and the 5 are going to contend too.
Those are the ones that are going to contend for sure. Yeah. I think the 2 is going to kind of sit off, but yeah, the 4, the 5 and the 5 is the stablemate to the 6.
Yeah, so they're not going to duke it out.
And she's not quick enough. So this was the one Steve Asmussen Saratoga angle that I saw, because I was just looking more for trends, because on the 5. The horses that are coming, the Steve Asmussen horses that are coming from Ellis Park to Saratoga, those are the ones that are not doing so well.
Well, like there's 2 different Ellis Parks, right? There's Ellis Park, Churchill Ellis Park, which I forgot when that ended. That would be at least the first thing I would look at, right? When did the Ellis Churchill end, and when did the Ellis begin? Because those are 2 different tracks. Right, the Ellis Churchill's just a continuation of Churchill, and Churchill horses always perform pretty decently at Saratoga. Okay, some years good, some years bad, depends on it. But the Ellis Park is not in any type of league with Saratoga, and I just think people start getting into the ball. It's Ellis Park, I started thinking they thought it was Churchill Downs. It's not. It's a low level track. It's just not. It's a lower level track, not a low level track. It's a lower level track. So that would make sense to me, right? You're trying, right?
Yeah, and they're getting bet too. A lot of them are getting bet.
Yeah, they're getting overbet. There's no doubt about that. So I think that's again, you got to early on, maybe, hey, a couple of those horse park were Churchill horses. If you just scratch that off, maybe that's sometimes like why they do the Churchill or Belmont Aqueduct or Churchill, like, because it is a difference. And if you look at it just flatly, it's you don't know, right? So anyway, the 7 Goodnight Olive looks like she plots fine where she is, but we'll get into the form on her and some of the things I like, actually dislike about her, and then the rest kind of going to have to kick it into gear plotting in quadrant 4. It all depends on the how that early pace goes. So 5. So you're thinking the 5 is going to apply the pressure. I mean, the 4 is going to apply the pressure to the 6. Correct?
Yeah, the two's quick enough. The two's quick enough to just keep the 6 honest.
Yeah.
But not necessarily going to duel, just keep that pressure. Another horse that I think has more tactical speed than what it's looking like on the plot. If we can pull up the grid on the 8, I'm very interested in this horse. Because this horse has been able to show versatility and speed. As drawn outside today. And that could be the difference, but there's a couple notes in here that are kind of key. One is, these are your notes.
Right.
Let's look at the Ballerina last year. This was a B optics grade. It was behind Goodnight Olive, I believe.
Yeah.
But you look at your...
Yeah.
And never got that opportunity, obviously, because the layoff, right?
Yeah.
Tampa, whatever. But since then has been improving form cycle wise. Belmont. I watched this horse work. This horse is like training like a beast. I don't know how she always works, but I know how she's working coming into this race. She looks insane.
Yeah, and look at the Saratoga races, right?
Yeah.
I mean, 105. I mean, it was an allowance company, but still.
Is that today's distance?
And then the Ballerina, where she got kicked back, right? We talked about me saying, "Hey, this looks like a Breeders' Cup horse at 7," and maybe this year is the year for her on that if she comes up with a big race.
Yeah, I just think the difference is that post, right? Because that day she was post 3, so she was a little bit kind of shuffled back inside. You noted the kickback there. Today she's outside of these horses, and she has tactical speed. She could get the jump. If we go back to the plot, she's in kind of the same relative position as the 7, but I think she can actually get the jump on her. I think she can actually be kind of quad 2.
Yeah, I mean, she's hovering. She's not too far off of what. Yeah.
And she's been quad 2 in the past, and when she is quad 2, she runs pretty well.
If you want to look at that, folks, you go out here. That Q2.
That 105 is a Q2.
Yeah. And yeah, I agree. So I just think this race is so competitive that 10-1 on her is crazy. I agree. I mean, if you just do this, I mean, if you just do this, right? And you look down on all the 1s and the 2s and the 3s and stuff like this for grade 1. I mean, you rarely see this. This race is ultra strong, right?
This race is very strong.
This is, I mean, Goodnight Olive is a great. I mean, look at her record. Grade 1, 7 furlongs. I mean, they're all established sprinters at this distance, which is a tricky distance, in graded stakes company. There's not. They're all strong.
But you know who else is a grade 1 and grade 1 filly and mare 7 furlong sprint specialist?
What?
Yours truly.
Yeah, absolutely. I still go back to Del Mar Breeders' Cup, right? That was the score. That was the score. Oh God. Yeah, Emily's very good at this. This is her specialty. So I kind of defer to her on this. So she likes caramel swirl. I'm with her on this one. She made the case for me. I didn't get in to look at this race, but Echo Zulo is just going to be too low overpriced, not worth it. So yeah, cool.
I mean, it's a competitive. You can make a case. I
Yeah,
could
you
go
can
through and
make a
make a
case.
case
You would go on and on and on.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
even Matarea the two, right?
yeah,
Because when you
yeah,
pulled it up, she has those wins at Grade 6 races. The race at Ellis was not going to be her trip. That time back in June,
yeah,
when that track profile, it was just all speed.
yeah.
The
I
note
wouldn't
says
hold that against her.
the winner freak. The winner was gate to wire.
Yeah, it freaked out then, horse.
And Matarea was pointed to that Churchill Downs race on the undercard. We pegged her that race, the matron was just going to be a prep. Ran a huge race in there. It just wasn't that Ellis Park. Like you can kind of like excuse that. She's run decently. You know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's
And then
always
the three is a long shot that can. I don't think she's as classy. She got out kicked on the square in the Madison by Goodnight Olive, who kind of made an early move in that race, that Madison back in April. But she's second off a layoff. She's got established form at 7 furlongs. She can grind up for underneath at her price.
Yeah, it's this is the race you want to take your shot against. If you're going, multi-race, I think you want to take a shot against Echo Zulu in this race.
Yeah.
Because you look at the sequence. You gotta kind of separate somewhere. This might be. Just because of the quality of this field, this is probably the place to do it. I would imagine. Good Night Olive. We didn't talk about her. She's kind of, she's really good.
She's very good.
I just, no knocks. I'm just wondering. She was kind of doing this 100s, and she hasn't hit 100. Close. There's really no real excuses, that I could say, well, why she hasn't replicated. Maybe being 5, maybe she peaked. Maybe she's starting on the down. That's the only thing I would say, on her. Maybe she's starting, because horses, once they kind of the middle of that 5th season, they start to decline, right? No matter, most of them, John Henry, you got a few exceptions, but they start to decline a little bit. So, this is a tough field. She's going to be a short price.
The other thing I noticed when I rewatched the Madison today, because this race was competitive. I was going through everybody with like a fine tooth comb, and I was really looking at this Mary Quite Contrary horse. So I watched that race, and I can see this pattern now. Is Goodnight Olive needs that perfectly timed move, and she had it. It was like a little bit premature in the Madison, and that's almost what got her beat. But when you can even look at it and see it in the running lines, that she's kind of like, she opens up and then she starts to lose ground late. So it has to be like, catching the right field, making that perfect move, getting that separation, and then just having like enough to hold. That's why I think, like, if a horse like if Caramel Swirl gets the jump on her,
or she gets repelled by one of the speed horses, and then Caramel Swirl comes over the top.
Or even if Caramel Swirl sits kind of side by side with her and she makes her move, they kind of make their move together. Goodnight Olive will get some separation, but in that last furlong, a horse could grind her down.
Anyway, it's a great betting race.
This is a good race. I love these races.
It's a great race anyway. This is, most likely the Breeders' Cup filly and mare turf sprint winner will come out of this race. Most likely.
Turf sprint?
Turf. It's just sprint. Turf sprint. That 7 furlong sprint throws me. I know it's different, so I have to throw something different in there. Okay. All right. So that was that race. The next race we wanted to take a look at was the Alan Jerkins, which is it's race 9. That's for 3-year-olds. This is kind of the boy version of this. Well, not version, it's 3-year-olds, so this is restricted. So let me pull up the 9. Okay. It's a little foggy to plot on this race. I mean, this is kind of a weird race, right? Everyone has kind of a similar run style, so something has to break here. I'm not big on the I kind of defer to you on works and stuff, but I think Arabian Lion cannot lose this race. I don't see this horse losing.
I didn't like this horse's works. I really didn't.
You didn't like Arabian Lion's works?
I didn't.
Wow, then I'm way off on that because I
Did
thought
you
the
watch
horse.
him?
Yeah,
I thought he was getting beat by Ran. I thought he got beat by Ran
he
Incarnate.
he was like 100 miles ahead of God, who the hell he was running against. He just kept on
I'll tell you who
widening.
he's running. I know that work. That
That was
work
it's
that from the
maiden. It
gate.
was a maiden. It was a maiden.
Yep. It was
Yeah.
not only a maiden, but it's a filly who ran one start last year.
Mm.
No good. One start in
Yeah.
October.
Yeah.
She's
Well, who
no
knows what
good.
she is though? But who knows what she is? She's
She's
a
a
year
tomato
later.
can.
Well, you don't know. You don't know. You don't
No,
know
I
yet.
know. I
You know?
just like I don't know. I feel like that was just really like that got beat by Reincarnate in the prior work. And then he put her against that horse who I don't think is very good. I don't know. Maybe she's okay, but not typically a Baffert pattern to like
I
start late
think
in October, only make one start. I just thought he put that horse against Arabian Lion out of the game. Arabian Lion also kind of stumbled out of the game a little bit. Um, to like flatter him a little bit.
I just don't like anybody in this race.
I don't like anybody in this
The
race
the,
either.
the
So
horse
I'm
the
in,
horse the horse I like a little bit is actually the two. I know
okay.
I think class wise he's looks well below these, right? But when you watch this horse run, it doesn't matter what race, long on turf, dirt, short. This horse is just so freaking competitive with whoever he's running against. It just seems like he's got something. I mean, I rarely, grit's the thing that you give. Man, a horse gets grit here and there. This horse got grit in 3 of his last 4 races. I mean, this horse just digs in. I mean, so if he can somehow keep in the race, I think he could get a piece here because I just think this horse is just so game, and he's going to be such a price in this race because he's going to be probably close to double that morning line, my guess. Don't
Yeah.
you think? I mean, that morning
Yeah.
line's too. Yeah.
Yeah, he'll be the longest shot in here without question.
Yeah, it's going to be 20, 25 to
Because
1.
the one will be shorter, I think.
Yes. One will be shorter. The others are going to get their money, right?
Yeah.
I don't like verifying at all. I mean,
I always hated this horse.
I mean, especially at this. I mean, I think he doesn't keep up. He's done.
I remember how much I fought in the Rebel that I was like, this horse is not good. And you're like, well, he kind of had a trip. I was like, I will not change this note. This horse is a dud.
But I was right about him. At least he won the next. He ran good in the next one. That was Let me see. I think he won or ran second, right, in a race.
He ran second to Tapit Trice.
Yeah, Tapit Trice. Yeah.
I mean, Jesus.
Yeah.
But okay.
It was a good race,
so,
though.
What's that?
He ran a good race. He ran. I think the reason I like it because he got the race. He got the right race flow in that race too. So
yeah.
he got the trip.
Okay. Let's look at the other Baffert horse, the 4. There's plenty to not like on this horse, but there's also some things to like because at least the projection has said he's better at one turn. I think Rosario will kind of fit this horse. And so the other thing is if we look at his common running lines, he actually beat Reincarnate in that maiden win. Now I know he had some things flattered, but I mean at least just in terms of pairing.
Mm-hmm.
He beat Saudi Crown, who's a common running line for some of the horses in the Travers. It just kind of has some common running lines with a lot of horses that are at least quality type horses. Practical Move was good at that time. Go Rocket Ride, he's the horse that won the Haskell.
Yeah.
General Jim is a good horse for Shug McGahee, one-turn miler.
Forte. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the thing about yeah, I just don't know why he plots terrible. Plots terrible. The other thing about him is this is.
Well,
I mean, I know Rosario's rode him, but why Johnny V is off of him?
well, because he's on the other one,
Which one?
the Arabian.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go.
But Rosario's been aboard this horse in the past,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
um,
Hasn't won with him, but yeah.
he got close. He got close to
Yeah,
the Pat
close.
Day Mile. That was a good race.
uh,
Um, trying to see if.
I just can't bet based on that plot. I mean, that's really what's taking me
So
off
what
of
I
it.
wonder, okay, so this is being a 7 furlong sprint. Is it plotting the maiden win? Because that's the only race that's at a split, or the maiden or the debut, sorry.
No, not at all.
What's it using?
If I tell you, I have to kill you. I can tell you off camera what's using,
Okay.
but it's not
You can
using the
tell me off
maiden
cam.
one. Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
yeah,
let's
because
see
I
what.
just
Well, I mean, you can get a gauge of it, I guess, if you kind of look at some of the bursts. Burst is kind of a gauge of it. You go look at his pace figures. It's going to be probably the pace figures too. They're going to are
uh,
kind of soft comparatively.
yeah, I mean I I just I think it's getting dirtied up by the Florida Derby.
You want 5-2 on this horse?
I don't want anybody in this
Yeah, I
race.
know. Well, that's why I
I
think
don't
so.
want anybody. That's why I was like, oh, you like the two? Fine with me, because I hate
Yeah, no,
everyone.
I let me just show you the two too, and I mean, look at this. Have you seen anything like this?
Yeah,
Uh, I mean, it's just, and
he's
this is
just
a
not
really
very
good
fast.
race. This is a really good race. I mean, I know it's 8.5. That's what I like when I see a horse that you know is running these really good races, hard races at longer distance and cuts back. And this horse has won at 7 furlongs. At San Anita, obviously too. Best of speed. This horse is. Don't underestimate this horse. That's all I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just not. I mean, I guess the San Anita. He still ran it. Even though he ran fifth, I know there's probably 5 horses in that race. Still, that's just probably 9 furlongs. Is not what he wants, pressing and stuff like that. But this could be just hit him right between the eyes. It's a stretch, but
No,
the
I
other
mean,
thing,
I think it's a type of race where you can't trust. You could see so many of these horses winning, right? Like
right?
verifying to win, but you don't trust him to do
Or if
so.
I cannot win,
New York Thunder, Arabian Lion. Like I don't trust him because I've seen this horse when he's supposed to win just absolutely suck. And since then, I mean the horse that he beat, Arabian Lion, the horse that he beat in the Woody Stevens is the one.
the reason I liked him because I just kind of like the way he was training. I figured if he's running and you say he's training terrible, but if
I
he's
just
running,
think he's okay. I think he's okay.
yeah. So if he's running like if he kind of was improving, and if I think that hey, it doesn't look like that rest hurt him, I'm like this horse could go to lead or sit off the lead and just win. I think it's an EP race. There's no closers that he's got to worry about. Just run as fast as he can run early, and it's over. Because he's got the kick. Because he's so that's what I was thinking. So the way I was going to play the race is I was just going to single him, but in a multi-race bet, I would include. I would just play 2 A's, the 6 and the 2, hoping that like I think the 6 either trounces the field or the race is like you said, just 5 horses on the finish at the end, and why not the 2 because he's got grit. What I mean? That's the way I see the race because
Yeah,
I can't figure anything else out.
I if I'm playing it multi-race and I have like, you know, the right idea on, I don't know how I'm going to play it, but if I have an opinion, I have an opinion of the ballerina and in Sword Dancer, I don't have an opinion. I don't know.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
that's
help
like
you.
not
Let's go to
that's not a
Sword Dancer.
sequence. That's not a sequence for me because this race I just hate it. There's
Yeah.
no
So let's
value
go.
in it. I don't have an edge.
Yeah. Well, I think the edge is the two, but it's a little bit of a stretch, but I think so. Okay, so let's go to Sword Dancer because I think I can help you out here because I think
Okay, good. Help me out.
okay. So
Because
this race,
if there's an opinion in here and there's a single, then it's a sequencer I can go
okay,
with.
I think maybe not a single, but I think if you use the 1 and 2, you get to the next race and you beat
Okay.
a big favorite. Okay, I think you beat a big favorite. So let's start with the favorite, the 7, 1.2 to 1. Okay, let me just get to the race. What is it, race 11? Okay, Stone Age. Now, why is this horse 1.2 to 1? I mean, obviously he's running in grade ones, but this is Saudi Arabia, I think, or whatever, Hong Kong. This horse was terrible. I mean, he ran that big race at a big price, right? Wasn't he a big price? Yeah, 12 to 1 in the Breeders' Cup, ran second. They're betting him off that race. He's actually in the Brown barn now. So he switched off of Aiden O'Brien. He was terrible in these 2 races. I know they're grade ones, but the first one they weren't in Europe. They were not. One was in Hong Kong and the other one was in Saudi Arabia. He was terrible. Didn't do no running. I mean, none. And even if you look back, look at all the red. Even before I did not like this horse at the Breeders' Cup. I didn't think the distance was right. I got shorter on him, and he's going 12 furlongs. No part of this horse. I want no part of this horse. I don't like this horse for the trifecta. I'm going to play it. He finishes off the trifecta.
Yeah, but you're eliminating one major factor in that race at Breeders' Cup. It was that everything from Aiden O'Brien ran lights
Well,
out.
you should make my case even better.
I am making your case
Yeah.
better, but I'm making, yeah, but as far as like you were probably right in the Breeders' Cup, except for
Yeah.
the fact that everything
Oh,
you
I
had
got
to
you.
change the trend. But
I
you're
got you.
right. That race is an outlier.
So I'm against this horse. Okay. So where do
Yeah.
we go? Okay. Let's go to Channel. If you look at the race, so you got Channel Maker's 100 years old. Now he's got good early speed. And, you always look at him on the plot. He's always a danger to kind of maybe take the horse, the race, wire to wire, gate to wire. But he ain't going to be able to do that because you got Bullshort Boy in this race, who is the 4. 4? No, 3.
Three.
3.
The four does have some speed as well, though.
Yeah, so they all have speed. Bullshort Boy Ballet has speed and good speed. It's just that this horse can't trust this horse at 1.5 miles at this level. So this horse will factor into the pace. I mean, this last 3 races, the pace has been hot. I mean, he kind of hangs around. He's got class, so he's not going to give it up. So I think that kind of between him and Channel Maker, if that's the decision, Channel Maker, which I think it will be to go to the front, those 3 kind of cancel each other out, in my opinion. Just they make it difficult for each. So now we've got the 3, 5 to 1, the 6, 7 to 2, and the 7, 1 to 2, in my opinion, eliminated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that kind of leaves me with the 1, 2. Okay. The
5.
4 is not good enough, and the 5.
Okay. The 4 and 5 are not good enough.
Oh, 4 is not. Let me look at the 5. Why I kind of don't like the 5. Yeah, I mean the 5 is in good form. This is the Linda Rice horse, just over his head. Okay, in this race, so that leaves me with the 1 and 2. I'm not going to really handicap these horses because other than just looking if they're okay, because they are. I mean, this horse has got graded stakes. He ran a big race off the layoff in a grade 1, man of war. It's a blanket kind of race. Last race, this horse had an excuse, but he shows up in these grade 1s. The Manhattan, he was second, right? He's run well over the track. The only thing is I have a shorter here on the 12 furlongs, but he's done okay over 12 furlongs. It's like you can't not use him. So I want to use the 1 and I want to use the 2 for stopping, right? Okay, so yeah. So for stopping, I think this horse was what my comment in the other no video. I think he benefited from the trip the last time. But he's a horse third off a layoff. He's got back races, competed well at the distance, grade 2. It's kind of an improving horse. I thought he ran an okay race. I just don't want to leave him off. I mean, I prefer the 1. Yeah. I'm going to use the 1 and 2 because I'm already kind of the whole approach here is really eliminating horses. And
yeah, I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's okay. That's right. So if that's the race you want to, like, I'm just going to go too deep and
Would you use, would you upgrade maybe the 3 a little bit?
yeah. I mean, maybe, just in case, because he is a class horse. I just don't know if he can get the distance. I just don't. Because it's not so much going to get. It's just the way he runs, and which it all depends on what channel maker does. I mean, he could sit to this horse. He doesn't have to it's not like this is not. Anytime you're talking about grass and long races, we're not talking about horses that are sprinters, so they could sit. They all could kind of sit to some extent. Um,
I mean,
yeah,
I just feel like if you're doing like elimination, I feel like this is like the sketchiest one of the group to eliminate.
I agree. I agree. I agree. You don't want to be so right about something and then you know be so
Because
wrong.
he's like in the gray area. The other ones I'm
Yeah.
fully
He is in the
fully on
gray area.
board.
He's in the gray, and he's been I watch a lot of European races. I do most of the notes for Europe for us, and those last 3 races were kind of weird because they were like really solid. They don't have pace figures on them. You got to watch the races. Why are you laughing at?
This horse is 125 to 1 in that
No,
last
I think
race.
that's an error. I think there's an error.
That's
So,
why I was
so,
like,
so
what?
but that race completely fell apart.
Okay.
So the thing is those paces. Maybe it was actually. How many horses were in that field?
I don't know.
10. No, he wouldn't do that. It's only 10 horses in the
Okay.
race. Um, so these paces have been like really kind of hot, but you remember his last couple of the 2 races before that were against lesser, and that was his kind of race against grade 1, and that's my thing. I just I don't think class wise or anything, but
Yeah.
maybe like you put him on a backup ticket or something. But I'm gonna 1 and 2. That's my process of elimination in the sword dancer.
Okay. I like it.
Okay. Anything else? Oh, why don't we got some time. Let's finish this off with today's personal ensign because it's such a big race. People probably would just be interested in it. It's the 9th race. I don't know if you looked at this race at all.
I'm
It's
about
kind of
to. Oh no,
a
I did look
rematch
at
of,
this. I looked at it days ago.
okay, the rematch of Nest and Clairiere. Um, I don't know about how they're working or all the rest, but I did watch some of Idiomatic's work, and that horse looks like that horse is working pretty well to me. Now, I don't have the trained eye. I don't watch these horses work all the time, but Idiomatic looked pretty good to me. And you just kind of look at this race. The one thing I would say about Clairiere, uh, just like the numbers, I don't know. And maybe she's, let me get to the grid. She's such a good horse. She looks like she's working well too, but I don't know. Anytime I see this, the figures are going down on a 5-year-old mare. I just start wondering. I know she tactically was at a disadvantage last time and all the rest, but she
But
should.
the race 2-3 back, and that's in April. I mean, it's not like it was that far away.
Yeah, no, I know. But then the 2 races since then, I mean, she's number wise, she's kind of when she's regressed number wise. That's all I'm saying. Uh,
God, look at those race shapes.
yeah, yeah. I mean, she was against the race shapes in those, but I'm just wondering if I don't know if that really matters to her.
I think
She's
she's
right.
gonna. I think she's gonna win this.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, because okay. Because here's the. Can we go back to the plot?
And it'd be interesting too to be, what the weather's like, because that could be a big
Yeah, that could change
effect.
everything. But the way that this just kind of looks like to me, especially if you say idiomatic is training really well and on the rail, then they're
Yeah.
gonna they're gonna hard send. I would imagine the 2. God bless her, coming out of Hawthorne, has all the root in the world, but all the Catalana horses are running lights out. So
Okay.
we've seen the best of what this horse could do, but they're gonna probably have to at least try to be up there, at least to some extent. But I think what it really does is it's gonna force Nest to run quicker to keep pace with the 1, right?
Yeah.
because they're going to say, okay, there's no other speed in this race. We can't let this horse go gate to wire. And if there's, if they hard send on the one, they're both kind of above the par line, so they can kind of run faster. I guess I gotta handicap Secret Oath because maybe she falls into a trip. But with that pace being at least fast, that would put Clairiere in the mix because she can work a trip. What about Secret Oath? Can Secret Oath just kind of trip?
I mean, maybe. I can't bet her off of that Ogden Phipps though. I mean, but I just can't. I mean,
She looked like peaked going into that race though.
well, she's peaked. I mean, she's not getting any better. I just can't see it. She's got to run like 25 points better than she ran in the
Yeah, but what I'm saying is if that race was just kind of
I'll be honest. I never liked her 9 furlongs anyway. I mean, I
yeah.
just think she may make a move and then, and if it's a fast pace, even if she makes a move, she'll get run down. I just don't like her.
Okay. Fair.
But I'm a little worried. So there's 2 scenarios, right? Let's say if they don't go as fast. I think Clairiere has a better chance if they don't go as fast. I think if they go the scenario you said, which is very possible, I was thinking about this. I think that puts her farther back than she's been recently. And I know she can close from far back.
Yeah.
But, the thing is sometimes these races, if they do get stretched, they got a lot to do late. It's just, especially when the field is not like a compressed field where, you're getting a lot of pressure and stuff like that. It's just, it gets stretched. I always worry about deep closers in a stretched field. So if they go fast and she's kind of falls back, or if she tries to stay closer, it may take something out of her late kick. That's a concern I have with her.
Yeah.
So I think taking 4 to 5 on Nesto is crazy. I mean, just it's nuts. She could win. She just could sit, right off the 1 and go by that horse, and then the 5 and 6 makes a late move, or the 3, and they just fall short. That could happen, and maybe she needed, maybe that first race back, which was an easy race for her, right? She improves off of that, but I don't know. 4 to 5 against these horses. That's kind of tough, don't you think?
Yeah, yeah. Because Nest is one that I think she's also one that's really has benefit from getting kind of good trips and catching the right field.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is, yeah, I agree. The other thing is Idiomatic doesn't need to go to the lead. Could sit behind Nest and then finish.
If Nest goes to the lead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that was a good, the Delaware handicap was a good race. I liked the way she finished up.
Who was in that race? Anything?
Let me see. Classy edition. Morning watch. I don't. Probably not much. But you compare it. The Optics fig range to it. It's comparable to today's race, so it couldn't be too terrible. Kind of an improvement.
Well, no, I pulled it up right now. It's there's nothing really upgraded stakes caliber in that race. It was pretty much like an allowance field.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she's okay. I think she looks good. She looks improving. Second, first, and grade 2, grade 3, grade 2. Making this is a step up, but and 3 to 1's a little short. It's a good race to watch. Betting wise, I wouldn't bet this race though.
Yeah.
Would you? I mean, unless you have a strong opinion about one of them, there's no value in betting this race. Do you think, though, that Idiomatic and Clairiere are going to be that close in price? Wait,
because again, I think it's kind of like in the Ballerina, it'll just look like what people see on paper. Idiomatic has that improving form and has a pace advantage. She could go wire to wire.
I think this is an okay fair value line, but it's not a good morning line because Nest and Clariere are going to be both like, 6-5 and 7-5. They're going to be close. These are going to be close. This horse is going to be like 4-1.
You think?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that horse gets bet. I think the three. I'm
Maybe
sorry.
get
I think the one and the six are going to be about the same
no,
co-second choices. I
no,
do.
no. These are going to be they're going to be close. They're going to be very close here in price. One's going to be like 4-5. The other's going to be like 6-5. They can take all the betting. Is my guess.
Because I think the only, was Claire.
I mean, they're the two horses. Like they are the two horses. They just ran like within like a half a length of each other.
No, I know, but that was a two-horse race.
Well, yeah. So I mean, yeah.
Well,
So
because they're the only
you just
horses that
made
were
the
going to
case that
take
Evie
money.
Magic's race was against nobody. So what does that mean?
Well, because yeah, but the thing is, that's why she was a short price in that race. But now the fact that she's coming into this race, they're betting it as a three-horse race. I think Nest will be favored coming off the win.
Right. Claria would be a very close second choice.
Yeah, but
Oh yeah. How could you not say, like look at Claria?
but the thing is, people will bet because the one has good connections, and that early speed, and people just say, oh, Clarier, is she couldn't beat
Claria
Nest last out, so they're gonna try to. If you're trying to beat Nest, you're gonna probably try to beat her with the one.
Claria was 4-5 last time against them. She's going to be 5-2. No way. No way. That's my guess. I think
Okay.
like if there was a
I'm
fair
usually
value
wrong. I'm
line,
usually wrong with you when it comes to this, so
yeah. If it was a
I'm
fair
I'm
value line,
accepting that.
if it was a fair value line, well, with the exception of Nest, that would be fair. Like if I got 5-2 on Clariere of 3-1, well, I would want more idiomatic, but I just don't see it as what's going to happen. But we'll see. That's why they run the races. That's why they bet the races. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's it. Hey, oh, by the way, I'm going to do a focus for Saratoga folks. So if you check out the website and you want to buy it, it comes free with, if you go to the buy and you go to Silver Plan, it's going to come free. So daily, monthly, whatever you feel like buying. So you get all the notes, the plots for all the different tracks. If you ever want to see what the tracks we do cover, just click here and it'll show you all the tracks we cover for notes.
Wow. It's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So check it out. And yeah, this is what Focus will have our fair value odds line to show you what it kind of looks like quickly. It's good stuff. So you'll get all the races that we publish in the table. You click it on, and then this is what this is a reference guide. So if you want to understand what all these different fields mean, it's pretty cool. So check it out. Check it out. All right. Thanks, everyone. John and Emily from Optics, and good luck on Big Travers Day. Emily, any closing words for your fans?
No, I enjoyed doing this. These races are, like you said, they're not big fields, but they're tricky puzzles, and I think there'll be some opportunities. Got to get a little lucky,
Yeah,
get those right numbers.
I liked your opinions, especially in the Ballerina and the Travers. It's good stuff, and I think people should pay attention. Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you.